I'm not a lawyer, but this is part 2 of the closing arguments for the YNW Melly double murder trial, also known as Day 17. So the defense gets up and does their closing arguments, and they kind of focus and emphasize the fact that the burden is on the prosecution to prove that Melly did these crimes. The defense just has to prove someone else could have done them. So this verdict is about if the prosecution did their job.
Means you have to presume him innocent. That means that that presumption stays with him until and if the state of Florida can prove their case beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt that the defendant, Melly, is not required to present any evidence or prove anything.
So the defense pokes holes and highlights what they allege was bad police work. He starts off with a text message that was first introduced by the prosecution as what they claim was Melly asking for a gun, but the defense says was actually Melly asking for something else.
Where is the fire? Was the message. They say it refers to guns. That's their interpretation. My interpretation, based upon the evidence, is where's the weed, the marijuana?
Then he goes on and really highlights reasonable doubt and how to determine if there is reasonable doubt.
And how does a reasonable doubt occur? Well, the judge has told you. It can come from the evidence itself, a conflict in the evidence, or a lack of evidence. You don't need all three of these areas.
He says this case has all three of those and therefore has reasonable doubt. He brings up phones and phone locations and the fact that one of the prosecution's own witness said that he can't determine a phone's exact location.
And what does he tell you? This expert. I cannot determine precisely the location of a phone. I cannot say 100% the phone is in, and you saw the band, it looks like a banana. He says, I think it's somewhere within this area, but I can't be 100% sure.
And then to the point of what they allege is bad police work, he brings up the tactics that the prosecution used in this investigation, including threats and bullying.
Next witness I think you need to pay particular attention to and really get a flavor of what this case is all about is Felicia Holmes. Felicia Holmes tells you that the Miramar detectives, Moretti and his group, threatened her, bullied her daughter, told potential witnesses they were going to prison, told witnesses that they may never see their children again, told a witness that he was going to be deported even though he's been in this country since 5 years old.
He also highlights Travion Glass's testimony and why he says his testimony is not believable.
The man who is convicted of 2 felonies. Now, why is that important? Because the judge read you an instruction on some of the factors to look at in determining whether or not to believe a witness or not. And he told you that one of the factors to look at is whether or not the witness has been convicted of a crime. Travion Glass, the state calls to say Melly never got into that rehabilitation. And he told you one interesting thing. He said he's got a case pending right now, and he doesn't want to go back to jail. Now, who has the authority to put him in jail? There's only one person who can put him back in jail. And that's the state of Florida.
And to close out his arguments, the defense attorney gives an answer to the question as to why Melly would have switched cars that night. Here's the clip.
I suggest to you that, as we have done periodically through this case, the reason was because he needed a bathroom break. Just like you and I did when I raised my hand or stand up. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, if he needed a bathroom break, in the dark highway, and you saw him carry it in his hand, he'd leave it on the seat of the car. And we know that the car sped off because there was another car waiting, the red Mitsubishi. You want to know there's no reason? The poor kid had to urinate.
On the rebuttal, the prosecutor said that if they pulled over simply for Melly to use the restroom, how come Adrian Davis didn't say that when he was testifying? Either way it goes, that was pretty much the day. The jury is expected to pick up deliberations tomorrow, and so now we're on verdict watch. We wait to see what happens. What do y'all think from the closing arguments? Whose story are you believing?